If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. Your support helps us share more amazing stories. Stories that dive deep into the parts of life we don't always talk about, but all secretly understand. In today's video, my name is Emily Turner. I'm 31 years old. And what I'm about to tell you isn't a simple confession. It's not a dramatic story meant to shock or entertain. It's the kind of truth that slowly unravels you from the inside out. The kind that forces you to look in the mirror and wonder if the person staring back at you is someone you truly know. For most of my 20s, I was convinced I had life figured out. I met Jason when I was 19. We were in college. Young, hopeful, naive in that beautiful way only people who haven't been tested by real life can be. He was steady and dependable. The kind of man who held doors open and remembered to text good morning. He studied finance. I studied communications. We would sit on the campus lawn and talk about the future like it was something we could carefully design. Back then, love felt simple. We married at 24. A small ceremony. Close friends and family. White roses. Soft music. Promises whispered with trembling voices and tear-filled eyes. I remember thinking, this is it. This is the beginning of forever. And in many ways it was. Jason built a career quickly. He was disciplined, focused, driven. Within a few years, we bought a house in a quiet neighborhood with tree-lined streets and identical mailboxes. It wasn't extravagant, but it was ours. The walls were painted warm, neutral colors. The kitchen counters were always clean. We hosted dinners. We sent holiday cards. From the outside, we looked like the kind of couple people quietly envied. But here's the truth no one tells you. Comfort can slowly become confinement. At first, I didn't notice the shift. It was gradual, almost invisible, like watching the seasons change. One day you realize the leaves have already fallen. Jason worked long hours. He said he was doing it for us, and I believed him. I still do. He wasn't neglectful out of cruelty. He was just focused. His mind was always calculating something. Numbers, projections, deadlines. Even at home, his laptop rested open on his knees like an extension of himself. Our conversations changed too. They became efficient. Did you pay the electric bill? Can you pick up milk? What time is your meeting tomorrow? We stopped asking each other questions that didn't have practical answers. When was the last time he asked me what I dreamed about? When was the last time I asked him what scared him? I can't pinpoint the exact moment I started feeling it, that quiet restlessness, that ache for something undefined. But I remember the first time I admitted to myself that I felt invisible. It was a Tuesday night. Jason was sitting across from me at the dining table, typing. I was talking, telling him about an idea I had for going back to school, maybe starting a small creative business. Something that felt like mine. He nodded without looking up. That's great, Em, he said absent-mindedly. And I stopped mid-sentence. Because I realized he hadn't heard a word. That was the first crack. Small. Harmless. Easy to ignore. So I did. I told myself this was marriage. That passion fades. That real love is built on stability, not fireworks. I reminded myself how lucky I was. No screaming fights. No betrayal. No chaos. Just peace. But peace can feel eerily close to emptiness when it lacks connection. The way he actually listened when someone spoke. The way he asked follow-up questions. The way his eyes held steady, like he was trying to see beyond what you were saying. One evening, Jason was stuck late at work. Noah had stopped by to drop off a set of tools he had borrowed. Want to come in? I asked casually. We sat in the living room. Just talking. Not about anything dramatic. Just life. Childhood memories. Regrets. Things we thought we'd be by 30 that we weren't. And then he asked me something no one had asked in a long time. Are you happy, Emily? The question caught me off guard. I laughed lightly. Of course. Why wouldn't I be? He shrugged, studying me. I don't know. Sometimes you look like you're somewhere else. That sentence lingered long after he left. Because he was right. I was somewhere else. Inside my own head. Inside a quiet longing I didn't fully understand. The conversations became more frequent after that. He'd stop by to fix something. I'd offer him a drink. We'd talk longer than necessary. There was a subtle shift in the air, like static before a storm. We never crossed a line. Not at first. But emotional lines are crossed long before physical ones. I started sharing things with him I hadn't shared with Jason in years. My fears about turning invisible in my own life. My doubts about whether I had chosen love or simply chosen safety. My craving for something that felt alive. Noah never judged me. He didn't try to fix me. He just listened. And sometimes that's more intoxicating than any touch. The night everything changed, Jason was out of town on a work trip. It was raining. One of those steady, heavy rains that make the world feel isolated. The kitchen faucet had been dripping for days. Jason said he'd look at it when he got back. Instead, I texted Noah. He arrived with his toolbox, water droplets clinging to his jacket. The house felt quieter than usual. Smaller somehow. He fixed the faucet quickly. But neither of us left the kitchen afterward. We stood there, facing each other. Silence stretched between us. But it wasn't empty. It was charged. He said my name softly. And something inside me shifted irrevocably. I don't remember who moved first. I just remember the space between us disappearing. When his hand touched mine, it wasn't accidental this time. It was deliberate. And when our eyes locked, I saw something reflected there that terrified me. Want. Not reckless. Not impulsive. Just undeniable. For a split second, I could have stepped back. I could have said no. I could have remembered vows and promises and the life I had built. Instead, I leaned in. The kiss wasn't explosive. It wasn't dramatic. It was slow. I started sharing things with him I hadn't shared with Jason in years. My fears about turning invisible in my own life. My doubts about whether I had chosen love or simply chosen safety. My craving for something that felt alive. Noah never judged me. He didn't try to fix me. He just listened. And sometimes that's more intoxicating than any touch. The night everything changed, Jason was out of town on a work trip. It was raining. One of those steady, heavy rains that make the world feel isolated. The kitchen faucet had been dripping for days. Jason said he'd look at it when he got back. Instead, I texted Noah. He arrived with his toolbox, water droplets clinging to his jacket. The house felt quieter than usual. Smaller somehow. He fixed the faucet quickly. But neither of us left the kitchen afterward. We stood there, facing each other. Silence stretched between us. But it wasn't empty. It was charged. He said my name softly. And something inside me shifted irrevocably. I don't remember who moved first. I just remember the space between us disappearing. When his hand touched mine, it wasn't accidental this time. It was deliberate. And when our eyes locked, I saw something reflected there that terrified me. Want. Not reckless. Not impulsive. Just undeniable. For a split second, I could have stepped back. I could have said no. I could have remembered vows and promises and the life I had built. Instead, I leaned in. The kiss wasn't explosive. It wasn't dramatic. It was slow. Careful. Like both of us were testing whether the world would collapse if we let ourselves feel it. It didn't. The world didn't end. But something inside me did. Because in that moment, I felt awake in a way I hadn't in years. It wasn't just physical. It was emotional. Electric. Intense. It felt like rediscovering a part of myself I thought had disappeared. Afterward, the silence was different. He looked at me like he wanted to say something profound. Instead, he whispered, "This changes everything." And he was right. The days that followed were heavy. Every time Jason called from his trip, guilt tightened around my throat. I answered cheerfully, asked about his meetings, told him I missed him. And I did miss him. That's what made it worse. Because loving someone doesn't make you immune to longing. I avoided Noah for a few days after that. But avoidance only amplifies desire. When we saw each other again, the air between us felt denser. Every glance carried weight. Every brush of proximity sent a current through me. I told myself it was a mistake. A lapse. A moment of weakness. But deep down, I knew it wasn't accidental. It was the result of months, maybe years, of emotional hunger. And here's the part that's hardest to admit. Being with Noah made me confront truths about my marriage I had buried. Jason wasn't cruel. He wasn't unfaithful. He wasn't negligent in the obvious ways. But somewhere along the line, we had stopped choosing each other. We had chosen routine instead. Predictability. Comfort. And I had allowed myself to shrink quietly inside that structure. Noah didn't create the emptiness in my marriage. He illuminated it. That realization is painful, because it means this wasn't just about temptation. It was about something deeper, something unresolved long before that rainy night. Now I live in the space between two realities, the life I built, and the fire that woke me up. Every morning, I look at Jason across the breakfast table and wonder if he senses it, if he sees the subtle shift in me. Sometimes I think about telling him everything, blowing up the careful life we constructed and starting over, whatever that might mean. Other times, I convince myself I can bury it, carry the secret quietly, let it fade into memory. But here's the thing about awakening something inside yourself. You can't unknow it. You can't return to who you were before you felt it. I don't know how this story ends. Maybe the truth will surface and shatter everything. Maybe I'll find the courage to confront the real issues in my marriage instead of escaping into someone else's arms. Maybe Noah will step back before things spiral further. Or maybe I'll have to choose safety or intensity, stability or transformation. What I do know is this: the most dangerous truths aren't always the ones that destroy us. Sometimes they're the ones that reveal who we've become and who we've been pretending to be. I'm not proud of my choices, but I can't deny the clarity they brought. For years, I mistook quiet for happiness. I mistook comfort for connection. And I mistook stability for fulfillment. Now, I stand at the edge of something uncertain. And for the first time in a long time, I feel fully, painfully, undeniably alive. If you've ever found yourself questioning the life you built, if you've ever felt a longing you couldn't explain, if you've ever stood at the crossroads between loyalty and desire, then maybe you understand more than you think. Sometimes, the hardest part isn't choosing between two people. It's choosing between the version of yourself that feels safe and the one that feels real.